Alright, so now we're going to talk about scale. Okay, this is going to be the first exercise in Blender, and it is a rather hard one, to be honest with you. So if you get past this is good to go. So this, again, series is not meant for the weak of heart whatsoever. This is a marquee cut crystal, cabochon we call them, and what I need to do is establish a dummy in Blender that matches this size right here, so I can maybe make a digital composition and then have it 3D printed out. Okay, so how do I translate this cabochon over to the 3D Blender? Well, we're going to need a tool called some calipers. I use these calipers. I love the non-digital variation of calipers. I feel like such a boss when I use these things. And they are old world, sweet. This is kind of like my pocket utility tool that I can carry around with me. And anytime I go to the hardware store and see these brass ones, I probably pick up another one. And I always have like 3 or 4 laying around. So these are really cool. The ones with the battery, however, dies very quickly. And the battery, yeah, I just can't remember to shut them off. So I love these. You got to know the metric system, okay? So millimeters is king when it comes down to 3D print. Millimeters, not inches. And I will say, as an American, I love the metric system. There's no doubt about it. If I, as a kid, would have had the metric system, I feel like I would have been a little better off. Instead of this SAE, standard. It's crazy. The fractions are dumb. But these make sense. Okay, so not to rant, but this is a really cool tool that you're going to need. And we're going to run an exercise. And you can see over here, I have my fake marquee cut crystal. Okay, so we're going to make this. Okay, so you're going to need a mechanical pencil of some nature. You're going to need some paper to put down your crystal. And I would stick with, for example, probably crystals that are just not weird shape. Like that would be a weird shape, okay? You can do that. Those are later lessons probably. We can scan that in a scanner, but for right now we're going to just trace this thing out on paper. Okay, so we do not know how big the crystal is, so let's do that. It is 19 millimeters. Okay, so 19 millimeters wide, and going up and down we got, I could tell you, 52 millimeters. Okay, sweet. Let's zoom in on this a little bit. Nice. So what you could do is get a calculator, just because you don't want to spend too much time on this. So and take, let's say 52 divided by 2 equals 26. Okay, so cool. Now we find 26 millimeters on here, and then we just dial that in. So there's 52 millimeters. Half of 26 is 13. I don't need anything for that. Okay, so now I need to know the width here in millimeters at this line. And that is 12 millimeters. So this one's going to be 12. This one's going to be 12. So I got 12, 19, 12. And I could keep doing that too. I could divide this out between these two and get that number and divide this out to that number. Alright, so that could go on forever. I'm going to just kind of shrink this up. Okay, we're going to shrink this window down a little bit in the vision. I'm going to turn it sideways so we can get a better picture of it. Boom. And now we're going to learn a little bit about Blender. Now, if you know a little bit about Blender, that would help out quite a bit. I don't know how much I'm going to go all the way back to Blender school, but I'll try my best to keep this as simple as possible for new people so they would start using Blender. Okay? So, for example, if I have a new scene under General, say, got a box. Okay? This box is a certain scale. And you can use the middle mouse button to rotate around the box. You can use the mouse wheel to wheel in and out or zoom in and out. Okay? And you can hold shift to pan the box around. Okay, sweet. So now if you hit N on the keyboard, you'll see the dimensions of this box is 2M. That's 2 millimeters. Okay? So what we want to do is establish a marquee that is X is left and right. So left and right is going to be 19 millimeters at the width. Now I can zoom out and you can see, whoa, that was actually pretty big. Okay, and in Y, up and down, it is 52 meters. Now certainly you can get the width of the crystal too if you wanted. You could just measure that. And this one is 6 millimeter. So if I wanted to type that in, I could too. 6. So now that I got a big slab that represents this marquee crystal. Cool. Now what we're going to have to do is just jump into Z. Okay, Z is like looking straight down at it. Perfect. And this should be set to orthographic. So it shouldn't look like that. It should look like that. Little waffle. Alright, let's go into edit mode. And we're going to put an edge loop here, here, and here. Okay? So it automatically puts it in the center of that. Really nice, right? Okay, let's jump into see-through mode, X-ray. And what we're going to do now is go to the move tool, just drag out and highlight all these 4 vertices. There's 4 vertices here because it's the top and bottom of that. We're going to go to scale and we're just going to scale those in as best we can without doing that. Okay, so we're just going to go like that and get it a little bit closer. Boom. So scale is just the red box. Boom, boom. Sweet. So now we need to know how wide this line is. Okay, very easy. I like using a box all the time. So if you go to object mode, you can add another box. Okay, and we'll make this one 12. I'll just make it 12 all the way around. Okay, we can move this up roughly in this area. Okay, then click on our marquee and go back in edit mode. So now we know if we scale this in, that's 12 millimeters. Okay, again, let's go to object mode. Let's drag this down. Okay, let's hit tab and let's go like this and go drag that in. Sweet. So there is our rough marquee cut stone. It's very, very, very rough. So let's go to object mode. Let's click this and hit X to delete it. Let's get out of X-ray mode. And what we're going to do is round this up quite a bit. Alright, to do that, let's go back into edit mode. By the way, you're going to be toggling between those a lot, so get used to it. So, inset faces, face mode, which is this one right here. Click, 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 click. By holding shift, you can highlight all of these. And then I'm just going to click and drag a little bit on this round circle. And notice what it did. It put a nice little face on there. Okay. Okay, we're going to do that same. So this insets the face. Alright, perfect. That's what it should look like. And let's go back into object mode and then click over here to the modifier. And then we're going to add a modifier called multi-resolution. And we're going to subdivide. Boop. There we go. Do it one more time. Cool. So there we go. We have our shape. And if you were to measure that out correlating to this one, it would match up. Pretty cool, right? So obviously if you take more points of data of like measurements and compare the measurement across, that would be the better way to do it. You can also take this and scan it on a computer and then get it that way. So that's going to be our next lesson on how to copy a marquee cut crystal over to Blender so that we can use it in composition. But this time we're going to use a scanner. And we're going to use Adobe Illustrator, or we can use Inkscape. Okay, so I can show you either or. And we're going to take it and make it a vector SVG and bring it into Blender and then scale it up correlating to the real world size. But for right now, this is the very first lesson on how to use your calipers with Blender and some rough editing in Blender to make a basic marquee crystal that matches real world size. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Try to keep it short, and then the next one I'll show you how to scan one in, and then we'll go on from there.